Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Six Figure Success Club. Today we are going to be joined by Tara McDaid-Sly, who is a tech expert for coaches and business owners. Let's get into it. Tara, do you want to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Well, thank you for having me to start off with. I am a tech expert for coaches and business owners, and I specialise in organisation through systems and processes within your business so that you can save time, have consistent clients, and an increased revenue from that.
I love that. For us non-technical people, I say us, I'm quite technical. What do you mean by tech? What is tech?
Anything in the back end of your business, really. I do a lot of website building, updating, changing, funnel building. So it can be anything from designing and inputting copy into lead magnets, the back end of that set up into a funnel. So opt-in pages, thank you pages, landing pages, sales pages, etc. Building all of those out, setting up things in your business, like for example a central hub, because a lot of people waste a huge amount of time having stuff everywhere in their business, and they're like, oh, I can't find this, can't find that, and I've forgotten this and I've forgotten that. So if you set up a central hub in your business with a management tool like Asana, everything can be linked into the same place, and then you know where everything is, you know how you do everything. And if you have like an SOPs board, for example, with everything written down, it actually saves you time when you get to hiring a team member, because instead of having to spend like 2 weeks trying to train them, everything for your business should be written down in that board, so you can go and train yourself. Have any questions, come to me. And so it saves a lot of time. So there's all sorts you can do. You can automate emails, email marketing systems, CRMs, you name it.
It's only a minute or so into the episode and I'm already loving this because I love the tech side of it. I think it's fab. Anything that you can use technology wise to make your life easier as a business owner, I think is an absolute must. I think we should embrace some of the things.
I couldn't agree more. And it baffles me the amount of people that I speak to that are like, oh, well, I'm just still doing the same thing that I did when I started, and like this takes me 10 hours and this takes me this and this takes me that. And I was like, what? Because the thing is, if you think about it, my clients come to me and I save them on average about 5 hours a week. If you add that up over a year, that's 260 hours. Now, depending on what you charge, that could equate to 100K that you could save or you could make.
Wow.
Because there's no reason that in 5 hours, if, as I say, depending on charges, you couldn't make an extra £1,000 a week just by implementing these things into your business so that you're not doing repetitive tasks. And you're not doing it something as simple as Natalie Potts said to me. She was like, it's £10 tasks and £1,000 tasks. I was like, oh my God, that's so true. Like the amount of people that focus on doing all the little things, whereas actually if you had all of these systems in place and the automations in place, which actually are not that scary to sort out, then it would mean that you could focus on the £1,000 tasks, which are like moving your business forward. So like the lead generation, the marketing, the visibility strategies, et cetera, which will all bring the business forward whilst everything else does itself.
Yeah, absolutely. Just not spending your time helping your business kind of do the general running of the business. Let that be automated, because it's the little tasks that you're doing every day that steal most of our time, and we want to spend our time doing the kind of big ticket actions like client work or lead generation, as you say, that's actually going to bring in more money.
Yeah, and if you like think about it, most of us go into business because we want something from it. Like we don't want the arse of a boss, quite frankly. We want time freedom, we want to be able to go look after our kids, etc. It's coming up to the summer holidays. A lot of people that don't have foundations in place in their business won't be able to take time off. But the people that do, their business will run itself for the 6 weeks of summer holidays if it must. So having the foundations in place from the beginning is something I'm so passionate about, because loads of people are just like, oh, I just need to focus on bringing in money and bringing in clients, and then when I grow, I'll put all that in. But actually, if you look at it properly, if you put that in now, then every stage that you get to that you want to scale, it'll be easier, it'll be simpler. It'll literally just be, a process that you go through and everything in the back end's already set up. There's no more building, there's no more thinking. You'll duplicate whatever you already have for the next stage.
Yeah, because if you're trying to backpedal and put those foundations in place when you've already got to, let's say, 6 figures, because that's my little tagline, it'll be a lot harder to put those processes in place, because you've got a lot more clients, you've got a lot more stuff that needs figuring out. Whereas if you do it at the beginning, everything's a lot cleaner and simpler, and it means that as you're building things, you're building them in the right way so that the business can scale more easily.
That's it. And like a lot of the thing that I've come back to me when I say that to people is like, well, it won't be the same. It's like, no, it won't be the same. But then all you have to do is tweak. You don't have to build. That is the difference. And when you get to 6 figures, like there are a lot of people who are still on their own at that point. So you're trying to juggle everything. And then it's also not a good idea to take on a new team member, because if you don't have those things in place, it's actually going to cost you more time and more money, because you then got to train that person, which isn't making any difference to you. So it's kind of like between a rock and a hard place when you get to that point. So if you put the foundations in first, you can tweak them as you go, you can learn as you go. And then it also, people don't think about this, but when you have everything in place and your business is easy to run, you run your business with an air of confidence. Confidence comes through in everything that you do. It comes through to your clients, it comes through everywhere. So if you're sat there as the confident person that knows what they're doing, and then you make working with you simple because, for example, your onboarding process is automated, you have a template that takes you 5 seconds to tweak and send. Like, for example, I had a discovery call on Tuesday. We had the call. I got off the call. I wrote a proposal. I sent a contract and I sent my first invoice. It was paid within 10 minutes. So within an hour, I'd gone from discovery call of new client to paid client onboarded.
Amazing. Well done.
Because everything's written down. I know, it's super exciting. So. But it's just an example of how easy it can be. And because everything was that simple, the feedback from this client was, well, that was easy. Like, I was thinking that taking on somebody to work within my business would be really difficult. And I was like, it can be. And when you get the wrong person for you, it will be. But when you take the time and you put the infrastructure in, then it makes it super simple. I just don't understand why people do it. It frustrates me.
This is why you have the business that you do, so that you can educate the rest of us that don't do this sort of thing. But I'm with you. I'm a big believer in putting in the foundations to begin with, because it's a lot easier to do it at the start than it is to kind of go back and fix it later on. And like you say, like the onboarding of new clients is it's the lifeblood of all business. Getting new clients in is what keeps the business running. And if that process isn't easy and it makes it feel difficult for the client, they're really unlikely to sign with you again. They are not likely to refer you to somebody else. Even if the work that you do for them ends up being good, if it's so tainted by a poor onboarding experience, their overall experience isn't going to be as good, and they're not going to be as likely to refer you to someone else. So making sure that you get that bit right, especially the client onboarding, is so important.
Yeah, because it's that whole thing of don't judge a book by its cover. But at the same time, when you're in business, confidence makes professionalism. You come across in a different way when you're more confident, and you're more confident when you know that your foundations are in place. I mean, it helps when you know what you're doing and you know that it works, but there's more than one element to being confident in business, if you ask me. And I do think it's a massive thing. Like, no matter how much somebody is referred and, someone, oh, this is amazing, I worked with them, it was this, and this. If you sit down with them and they're not this, and this, and they're not all they've cracked up to be, it don't matter what their results are, you won't go there.
No.
So, yeah, it's definitely a huge thing.
And you say about confidence breeding professionalism, but if you look at it on the flip side, if you feel more confident in your business and the way that it runs, it's going to be a lot more fun running it, because it won't be as stressful. You won't have to worry about things working. You know that you could go and spend your time doing all the lead generation, getting all the clients that you want. Everything's just going to work. Your website's running itself. Emails go out when you want them to, and you don't have people kind of emailing you in saying like, oh, did you realize that this has happened? Or just to let you know, this link's not working. And the pressure that those little things put onto you as a business owner really add up. Even if it's just a link's not working, like you get multiple people that message you and say that, it's jarring. You kind of panic and you're like, oh my god, what's gone wrong? And it's so not fun. So making sure you've got all of that in place just makes running the business so much easier.
It does. And then if something like that happens, it's super simple for you to go, okay, I know that link's in this place, and this place. I'll go and fix it. And like it just comes back to, again, it can be really stressful, like you say, doing the back end of stuff, and you can't do business without any of that. But if you take the time in the beginning, for example, I built a sales page for one of my offers that I created a while ago. I would say it took me probably 2 days to fully do it, but I'd never built a sales page before in my business for me. So I didn't know the template. I didn't know where I wanted my colours, my fonts, blah, 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 because you have to make them pretty as well as the practical information have to be pretty. But now when I've just, I've got a pilot study out for my high ticket at the minute to build that sales page, honest to God, it took me an hour and a half.
Amazing. What a difference.
Because I'd created the template of what my sales page would be. I know it works and I knew it converts, duplicated it, put the new information, the new images in, etc., etc. It's done. And I also know that all the back end works, all the links work, etc., because they're already set up and they're already connected with everything else. So those 2 days that I put in going forward have saved me, 40 hours, if we'll argue.
Every time you put out a new offer, it saves you 40 hours, because it's only going to take you an hour and a half now to create every sales page for everything you ever release.
Exactly. It just shows that putting time in pays off.
I was talking to someone else about this morning, actually. We were talking about the fact that people don't generally like to take time out of the business to plan, but I think it's one of the most important things you can do in a business. And I think it's the same in this instance as well. Taking those couple of days out to really build your systems in the beginning and making sure that they are the best that they can be is going to save you money and time in the long run, because everything's going to work better. Like you said, when you come to do things later on, it's not going to take you as long, and it just makes such a difference doing it up front.
Yeah, and nobody, people don't, like you say, people don't make these things a priority. They don't make planning a priority. They know they've got their offer suite and they're like, I just need to sell, I just need to make money. But the thing that they don't remember is strategy is everything. You know, I specialize in organization. People think it's really boring. That's fine. I'm the calmest person in the world when I'm organizing something. Everybody thinks I'm crazy, but that's my thing. But if you think the difference of having an organized business, you know where everything is, you know how everything works. If there's a problem, you can easily pinpoint it because you don't have any gaps. To one which is chaotic, you can't find your contract, you can't find your link for your meeting. You've got to say, I'm really sorry, make up an excuse. This doesn't usually happen, but I'm going to have to reschedule, or I can't deliver this on this date because you've lost something. How are you going to build a business? Like, businesses are built on reputation. You're just damaging yourself from the beginning.
Definitely.
You can tell that
whole scenario has just made me feel really stressed. Just imagining that happening, I can't cope with that. I couldn't do it.
No. And bless people that are like that, because a lot of people are like that because they don't necessarily understand automations, etc. yet. That's, you know, why there's people like me and other people that we're experts in our field. That's why we have so many different industries and niches. But at the same time, it's imperative. And bless them, if I get onto calls, people are like, oh, please don't look at my desktop, or please don't look at this. I'm like, I'm not here to judge. You're bringing me into your business to help with this. I'm not here to judge. So please don't think I'm judging, because I'm not. Because the more unorganized, the more fun I'm going to have, quite frankly. So
I think that should be your new tagline: is the messier you are, the more fun I'll have.
The more chaos, the better.
But it's so true. Like, we all have different strengths, and I'm more organized than not organized. But like my sister that I live with she goes the other way, and everything's chaos. But for her, that's organized, and I could never wrap my brain around that. But we all do things the same. Exactly. But we all do things in different ways, and there's no positive or negative. It's just we have different strengths. We can't all be amazing at everything.
Exactly.
calling on someone like yourself who is an expert in the building the back end systems and organizing the business is the right thing to do in that instance.
But that's the thing, and like, yeah, I really like that you brought up that we're not all the same. We're not all the same, and we all work differently. So how I run my business and what I have in my business won't work for someone else because that's not how they work. So it's not like a cookie cutter, one size fits all when it comes to setting up systems in the back end of your business. It's finding the right ones that work for you. You know, you need certain types of systems. So you need like a storage system like Google Drive, a management system like Asana, email inbox, email marketing, creation system like Canva. I say they're usually the 5 types of systems you'll need in your business to be able to do everything. But at the same time, there's many different softwares within those categories which can work for you. I personally love Asana. I know people that love Trello, that love ClickUp, etc. Google Drive's my thing. I hate Dropbox, but people like Dropbox. You know what I mean? So everybody's different. And it's, for me, one of the things that I'm super, super passionate about is finding what works for you, because what works for me might not work for somebody else. Because there was always this thing when I was going into doing the tech, because I started as a general VA and then I didn't like it. And I was like, what do I do? Everyone's like, tech. I was like, I'm a technophobe. So how does that work? Quite ironic. But it is right. I enjoy the tech side of it now. But it was like, so many people were saying to me, go into a system. You'll get loads of clients if you specialize in one system. I was like, that's great, but that doesn't work for everyone. And my people pleaser side can't help myself. And I want to help as many people as possible. So the amount of times I get on a discovery call or something, or I have a chat and they go, have you used this system? My answer is no, but Google search is my best friend. And if I can't figure it out, Google will. So
I like that. Adapting for the client needs, as you should do.
Yeah, and like, I'm super, super grateful and the fact that I have a brilliant network around me now of online business owners. So like my call on Tuesday, she was like, I use MailerLite. Do you know it? I was like, yeah, I've used it myself. Only the free version. So if you have the paid version, I'll have to figure some things out, but it's not a problem. My best friend is a MailerLite expert. So what she can't figure out isn't worth figuring out. So we're fine. You know, it's having the people around you as well to support you, which I think is really important as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've talked a lot about putting the systems in place to begin with, but let's look at it from the other side. So if you have got a business that's running, you're earning decent income, but you've got none of these things in place and you're still doing everything manually, I imagine at that point it probably feels quite scary to think about putting the systems in place and changing things, because right now everything's kind of working, but it's hard work. So how would a business owner like that kind of go about fixing these systems and putting those foundations in place kind of later on in the business?
I think the most important thing is accepting that you want to change it, because there are people that I speak to and I think, and they're like, I know the benefits, I know I need to do this, but the idea of doing it is horrific. And I'm like, yeah, but you just need to accept that you want to change it. When you want to change it, then it becomes easier. And it is literally, you go through the 5 systems that you need, you look at which ones you have, which ones you don't have, and then you plug the gaps. Plug the gaps so that you then have the systems you need. And then with your management system, which you'll set up as your central hub of your business, you connect everything. And then it's super simple of you've plugged your gaps, then you streamline. What do I really, really need? What don't I need? Because you'd be amazed of how much you have within your business that you do, which you don't actually need. You just overcomplicate it because somebody else does it and somebody else does it. And business to me should be simple. You know, it shouldn't take all the time in the world. It shouldn't be overly stressful. Don't get me wrong, working with clients can be stressful because there's an element of responsibility and stuff like that. But actually running it shouldn't be that difficult. And these processes will help that. And like when you set up, you decide which management is going to be your central hub. You then, for example, I have a Asana template bundle, which has every template you'll need. There's 11 to run your business from. And then it is just basically a process of inputting the information in there so everything's in one place. And people find it quite overwhelming. But if you break it down and you make a plan for yourself and X amount of hours a week, you know you're just going to work on your central hub, if you're doing it yourself, that is. And you just put 2 or 3 hours a week into your calendar, wherever you can, and just input into one board and just move through the boards. So it doesn't have to be as stressful as you think. And my biggest thing would be put a plan in place.
And I like the idea of, oh, sorry, didn't mean to cut you off there. No, I like the idea of not doing like a big bang where you kind of close the business for a week and you sort it all out.
You don't need to do it.
I think the fact that you can, like you say, look at those 5 system types, figure out which ones you've got gaps in, and then gradually fill those gaps with the systems that whichever ones you pick.
Yeah, definitely. And the thing with businesses, everything that we do every day, we know we've got a non-negotiable that we have to do every day, and then we've got the other things that we can do if we have time in between everything else. I've lost my train of thought.
I was talking about gradually filling in the gaps instead of taking 3 weeks out of your business.
Thank you. Yeah, habits. So everything that we do every day slowly turns into a habit. Like recently, I've been working on visibility and lead gen. I hate it. It's not me. I am the person that's in the back end of the business that nobody sees. I sit here at my laptop in my office and nobody sees me. It's great. But when you run a business, you have to be visible. And I would say probably in the last 2 weeks, has it started to not feel like an effort because it's now developed as a habit. Mm-hmm. So I actually think if you do a big bang and you stop your business completely and go in, you're on a one-way ticket to overwhelm and burnout, quite frankly, especially if you are particularly, like you're at 6 figures. That's going to be a big job. Yeah. Depending on what you do, that is, but that's going to be a big job. So I think it's important that you do things with a plan. You don't overwhelm yourself. And then as you go along, all these things won't feel so difficult because by the time you get to the third thing, the first thing that you did will now be a habit and you won't even think about it. So it's really working to your strengths. I work really well with a list. So I have a list every day. I've still got it all planned in my diary, in my Outlook, because then no matter where I am, I can book stuff into my calendar. But every day I want my dopamine hit of every time I get to take something off the list. I feel good.
Absolutely. I'm exactly the same.
But that, you know, it doesn't matter if you have your business fully online. I have mine fully online. You do. You know, everything we do is on screen. You still can do what works for you. And you can still use pen and paper. Like a lot of the times that I do trainings, etc., I write it on pen and paper because I know I'll then go and do it because it's not hidden in a Google Drive somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there is a big thing, like systems can be scary for a lot of people, but you make them work for you so that they're not.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time it's either research to do that or find somebody that can help you figure that out.
Yeah, and I think that's a decision that each individual business owner would need to make, is how much time is it going to take you personally to research and implement these systems versus what the cost of hiring somebody like yourself to do it, and working out kind of the balance, because the time that you're taking, the business owner is taking to research and implement, what is that costing them in terms of kind of their time and what they could be charging someone for working with them, for example, versus
exactly what I'm saying.
Hiring you.
Yeah, like in any sphere, whether you're going to a coach, a VA, social media manager, an email expert, whatever, what takes you 6 hours to learn will take that expert 1 hour. So those 5 hours that you saved, you could make £1,000. Mm-hmm. You've got to look at it like that. Like it's not just a time value, it's a monetary value as well. But don't look at it as outsourcing. You lose money, because you don't. You actually gain it, because in those 5 hours, you could go and do lead gen, get on the sales call and make a sale.
Yeah, absolutely. And it also, there's like a, I don't know what you'd call it, but like a peace of mind value, where you don't have to stress about researching and implementing because somebody else that is an expert in it is going to do it for you. So not only have you saved time and money, but you've made yourself feel better and feel less stressed because you're not having to worry about it.
Yeah, and like there is this element that a lot of people are like, yeah, but what if I don't always have you and I won't be able to use it and da 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 da. Anybody that's worth their salt will show you how to do it, and will make sure that you have simple videos or a PDF format, whatever works best for you, so that should you not work together for whatever reason moving forward, like for example, I sometimes go into businesses, do an overhaul and come out. It's just a one-stop shop to set up like a central hub for them and come out. I always make sure that they know what they're doing. And if, you know, I'm always here if they get super stuck and they just can't get their head around it. I'll always give support to people. But anybody that doesn't do that, quite frankly, I think is wrong, because that's kind of setting themselves up, because the business owners then got to come back to them to figure out what to do, which I don't think is fair. You're running your own business. Unless you have full-time team members, you do need to know what needs to be done. So a 2-minute video of how to connect something for someone like me, when we do it every day, will not take long to just do a loom on or something. So it's like, you don't be scared to be on your own either, because you should have support. And like even within these systems, there's so much support. If you have like an all-in-one system, like a white label one, like Go High Levels, each platform that's within that has their own basically support school. Asana does the same. There's called the Asana Academy. You know, there's so much support that you could get, but there's also, personally, when I go into a business, I will make sure when I leave, that business owner knows to a point how to change things, edit things, update things, blah 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 blah.
Yeah, they might not know the whole ins and outs of the entire system, but they can at least continue to manage what you've put in place for them. And then that gives them, I guess, the peace of mind that you've come in, you've done the overhaul, the system's running as it should, but that they have the opportunity to kind of step away and manage it themselves if they want to. Because some business owners do like to kind of keep everything in-house, so they have that choice. What they'll probably find is that they love working with someone like you so much that they'll keep working with you, because it is just easier and it frees up their time. But having the option to not do that, I think, is also a good idea.
Yeah, and it's sometimes like when you're at a stage in business and you want these things set up, but you're not necessarily making enough profit to continue that work forward at that time, you know, that is also okay. I think there's this thing that people think that if people are coming into their business to do back-end work or tech VA work or any sort of VA work, that it has to be continuous. It doesn't. You know, it is quite okay to save up the money, invest in putting the systems in place, know how to manage them yourself, and then when you're making the extra revenue and the profit, to be able to afford to have somebody in full time or for a period of time and X number of hours a month as a freelancer, bring them back in. I think that's something that really needs to be talked about and shown more in the industry, because people are so scared of delegating and outsourcing because they feel like they're tied into something. But I'd much rather go into someone's business, set everything up, educate them, and come back out and know that everything's fine, and that if they needed help, they can come to me, and if they want to bring me back in, they can, than them trying to kill themselves to make extra money for somebody that they can't afford.
Yeah. And that's the joy of outsourcing. It's not you've signed on the dotted line and we're going to work together forever, like it would be with it's more like that when you've got an employee. That's generally why outsourcing is a good idea, because you can kind of test the waters or have a project completed that you need done, and then you can kind of step back and go your separate ways.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I do a lot of this on my VIP days. Like, I always have a plan beforehand, because Tara lives her life from a plan and can't do anything without a plan. So we have a call, we have a plan, and then either I'll go and do the work and they get on with their day, or they come with me and we do the work together. But a lot of the time it is projects that they've put off and they've put off and they've put off, and then they're all done in a day and they can walk away and do it. And in a lot of cases, they don't even have to get involved. The 90-minute call beforehand, I do the day and they go, here you are.
Sorted.
Yeah, all done. But I do think that needs to be normalised. because a lot of people think VIP days and going and getting one-time products done and stuff like that is more when you go and do business coaching or strategists, etc. But it can be for everything else as well. Like it can be as simple as I went into an email inbox that had 27,000 emails in it.
No.
Yes. But, you know, for that person, they didn't know how to bulk unsubscribe. They didn't know how to label, to put into folders. They didn't have email templates set up for everything that happened within the business. You know, they didn't have any of that set up. And for them to do that would have taken them weeks and weeks. But I could go in and do it in 6 hours.
Yeah.
So,
which is the power of outsourcing to somebody whose specialty it is. And instead of trying to figure out yourself, because we've all got things that are in kind of our zone of genius that we are much better at, which for me would be coaching, and creating a strategy. That's where I shine. And for you, it's the tech side of stuff. And there's going to be, we're all going to be better and not as good at different things. And playing to your strengths and to somebody else's strengths is the key to having a successful business.
Yeah, and I think admitting that as well. Like for me, I build funnels. I'm good at doing the build side of them. I can't write copy. I'm not a copywriter. ChatGPT can write the copy if you're happy with that, and then you tweak it. But so like 95% of any of the funnels that I have built so far, I will say, I will need your copy, I will need your branding, any logos, etc., and any images you want. I can build from there, that's fine, but I'm not a copywriter and I can't say this will convert properly for you because I'm not.
No, you can't say the funnel will work. It will follow the steps that you expect it to, and they will end up somewhere.
Yeah, it will work perfectly. Everything will be linked. They will opt in. They'll get the thank you page. They'll get the nurture sequence, etc., etc. They can have links to wherever you want them to go. But the actual high converting descriptions and copy, I'm not trained to do it. No, I can do it with the help of ChatGPT. I'll be completely open. But I'm also not trained. So I would either prefer you to write it or we source a copywriter to bring in and write to the design, etc.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, calling on somebody else and their strength, the strength of a copywriter that does this day in and day out, and it's all they do.
Exactly.
Was there anything else I was going to ask you? Let me just have a little think. Of the 5 types of platforms, are there preferred ones that you recommend?
Yeah, so your storage system, Google Drive for me. Your management system is Asana. Your email inbox for me is Outlook. I hate Google. Gmail. It drives me up the wall. And the thing that annoys me with Gmail is you can't have more than one inbox on one thing.
Yeah.
That annoys me. So I have 2 inboxes and they're on the same thing. They're on the same calendar and it's great. Email marketing. I actually use ConvertKit because I started with it very, very early with a business coach who got me a really good deal because it is paid. My version is paid. But if you don't want a paid one, MailerLite is pretty good, and the numbers are quite good for the free version as well, because that's the only thing you've got to watch with certain email marketing providers. They can be quite tricky when it comes to numbers.
Oh, and how many
subscribers you can have for free? Yeah, like especially if you start to grow really quickly, and then the jump from free to paid can be quite big, depending on the platform. So it's worth looking into. But yeah, MailerLite's quite good, and I use ConvertKit because it's like the most simple thing you've ever done, and I love simple. What else is there? My brain's gone blank. Creation system. So like I use Canva because Canva does everything that you need. So like that covers your marketing, your management, your storage, your emails, just client communication, and also the automating of your email list, because let's face it, email list is king because you own it. You don't own any of your social media or anything. So number 1 tip, if you're starting business, go and start an email list. Don't wait.
Immediately. Do not wait.
Do it now. Do it yesterday.
Email list.
Yes, because you own that, and like it's super important to If you only have 2 subscribers, email them every week.
Mm-hmm.
It does not matter. Those 2 people could bring you in sales. You know,
Absolutely.
That takes time, but it's important.
It definitely is. Yeah, definitely.
Very important.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It's been lovely chatting to you.
Yeah, it'd be great. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. My 3 key takeaways from today would be to take inventory on the systems that you're currently using in your business. So of the 5 types that Tara mentioned, which ones do you already have set up and where are the gaps that need filling so that your business can run as smoothly as you want it to? Number 2 would be to not be scared of implementing tech systems into your business. Whether you're right at the start of your business or you are already super successful, getting these systems in place is critical to building a successful business long term and giving you the ability to scale easily without the stress of managing the business without them. And then the third one would be to consider outsourcing implementing this tech into your business. So if it's not something that you are overly familiar with, if it's not in your zone of genius, can you go and speak to a tech VA like Tara who can do it for you? Because it'll end up saving you so much time rather than struggling to do it yourself. If you are tech inclined, then absolutely give it a go yourself. But lean into your zone of genius. If it's not in your zone of genius, consider outsourcing it to someone where it is in their zone of genius. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will see you next time.